is January 1444. John Hunyadi had just returned from his successful campaign against the Ottomans. As the news of this spreads, all of Christendom rejoices. Such a string of victories against the Turk had not been achieved in living memory. Since the Ottomans showed up on the continent in the 1350s, they almost never lost a major battle. After Nicopolis, Europeans became convinced that the Ottomans were invincible. But John Hunyadi does not believe in such urban legends. He thinks the time is ripe for a vigorous offensive and a decisive battle that would crush Ottoman power in the Balkans once and for all. Europe's monarchs and the Pope think accordingly. They urge Vladislaus to organize a crusade that would be led by Hunyadi and promise to support him. Poland, Venice, Ragusa and Burgundy join in. The plan calls for Venetian and Burgundian galleys to block the Dardanelles, while Hunyadi would make his way into Bulgaria along the Danube. The Serbians, the Wallachians, and even the Byzantines promise to join in, while Poland and the Papal States send money and soldiers. Seeing Hunyadi's successes, the Albanians led by George Kastrioti, the famous Skanderberg, have also rebelled and might be able to provide support. The plan makes perfect sense. The Karamanid rebellion in Anatolia had not been broken, and if left to simmer, the Ottomans will have to fight a war on two fronts. Indeed, Murad is more concerned with putting down this rebellion first. Therefore, he needs peace with the Christians to buy himself time, then deal with them once the rebellion is over. To this end, he seeks out the help of Serbia's despot, George Branković. He promises to give him back the whole of Serbia if he can persuade the Hungarians to make peace. To grease the wheels of bureaucracy, Branković promises Hunyadi all his estates in Hungary. This will make Hunyadi the richest man in the country, an attractive proposition to say the least. After consulting with the king, a compromise is reached. They will sign the peace treaty, however they will also continue preparations for war, then renege on the treaty as soon as the army is ready to march. This plan also makes perfect sense. Murad believes he outsmarted the Christians and unwittingly takes most of his forces to Anatolia, leaving the Balkans nearly undefended. But in practice, such complicated matters never end well. Whether or not it was Murad's prime intention to sow confusion among his enemies, as it turned out, this is exactly what happened. News from the Ottoman side reaches the Venetian and Burgundian fleet first. News of the real state of things arrives later, but by then the fleet is thrown into disarray. Additionally, Branković plans to honor the peace, naively thinking that by remaining neutral, the Ottomans will likewise treat him honorably in the future. Now one of Hungary's most important allies is out of the game. This will prevent any communication with the Albanians. The Byzantines also announced that they will opt to remain neutral. Thus begins the Crusade of Varna in the late summer of 1444. Hunyadi, together with the Wallachians and his western allies, barely has 25,000 men. Worst of all, the Karamanid rebellion had just been put down. Being secure that his diplomacy won, Murad renounces the throne in favor of his son, Mehmed II. However, when he hears of the Christian attack, he reassumes power and immediately orders his forces to cross back to Europe. To facilitate this, Murad finds an unlikely ally. The Genoese, who have very profitable relations with the Ottomans, offer to help them get across, getting 1 golden florin for every soldier. The Byzantines remain passive, and the small Venetian Burgundian fleet cannot do very much. By the end of October, the Ottoman army manages to cross. Meanwhile, the Christian army heads east along the Danube. Then they head south along the road to Edirne. Bigger fortifications are bypassed because Hunyadi wants to get to Edirne as quickly as he can. But his way is blocked at the Shipka Pass. Now the Crusaders are forced to head west. Inexplicably, they stop for several days to besiege Shumen. This gives Murad additional time to prepare his trap. As the Crusaders march towards Varna, the Ottomans discreetly follow them. They enter Varna unopposed. However, as soon as they settle in, Murad arrives with 50,000 soldiers. The next morning, on October the 10th, the Ottomans form up for battle. Murad arranges his soldiers in a wide arc with himself and the Janissaries in the center, Spahi is on the wings, and Akinji is on the extreme left. Hunyadi spreads out his forces in a thin line, with heavy cavalry mixed in with the hussars. He anchors one flank on the marshland to the south, and the other on the hills in the north. He takes the center with his best heavy cavalry. His only reserve is the Wallachian light cavalry in the rear. Hunyadi feels secure about his left flank, but he is concerned about the right. This is where he positions his 600 war wagons to further reinforce this side. The first move is made by the Akinjis, who as expected attack the Hungarian right. A battalion is dispatched against them and easily scatters the Akinji. But as soon as the Hungarians stop, they at once resume their attack. More Akinjis attack and more Hungarians are funneled in to intercept them. Meanwhile, groups of Spahi also sneak up, using the hills and the forest as cover. They catch the Hungarians off balance and manage to rout them. The panic becomes contagious and the whole Hungarian right disintegrates. Some seek refuge in the wagon fort, holding up the Ottomans for a while. Others flee all the way to Varna. Attack! With disaster unfolding, Hunyadi takes his personal battalion and the Wallachians and counterattacks. Now the Ottomans are caught off balance and are forced to flee. Hunyadi pursues them up to the Turkish lines, then turns back to return to his own lines. But the Wallachians continue the pursuit all the way to the Ottoman camp. Once there, they loot it to consider their job done and gallop off to Wallachia. Meanwhile, the Ottomans also attack on the other side, but here they have no way to outflank the Hungarians. Their attack is repulsed and the Hungarians pursue them all the way to the Ottoman lines. But now the second line of Spahi is attacked and the Hungarians are in turn routed. The Ottomans pursue them, but then Hunyadi, who had just returned from the right flank, slams into their side. The Ottoman right flank disintegrates. Hunyadi pursues them, inflicting terrible casualties and putting most of the Ottomans on this flank to flight. By then the Hungarian right flank is reorganized, and it's starting to look like Hunyadi already won the battle. Up to this point, the king and his retinue of 500 elite Polish knights had remained inactive. All the while, Hunyadi achieved a life's worth of glory, all for himself. Thus surmises the 20-year-old Vladislaus when he charges headlong into the dense squares of Janissaries, who are just waiting for such an opportunity. The king and his small party penetrate the square and make some decent headway. But soon the masses of bloodthirsty Janissaries close in around them. The king's horse falls and he is cut into pieces. As Hunyadi returns to his lines, he is horrified to see the king's head being paraded on a pike. Panic grips the Hungarian army. More and more battalions leave the field as Hunyadi frantically attempts to brace the lines. But to no avail, and by nightfall he himself has to leave the battlefield. Those on foot are left behind. They take refuge in the Hussite wagon fort, hoping to hold out until the fleet arrives. Next morning, the Ottomans descend on them. By noon, they are overcome and exterminated. The battle that could have been a draw turns out to be a resounding defeat. The king's body is never found. Vladislaus is the first Polish-Hungarian king to die in such a horrid way, but as events will show, he won't be the last. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, it helps with the algorithm. Check out my Patreon if you want to help me on this journey, links down below.